A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional. Let's do some intentions. Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. Congratulations, Jordana, on the 2 beautiful babies you'll be welcoming to your family. And I'm so sorry for the loss of your father. Thank you. I've written to the show before about an intention to stop yelling at my dog. It turned out, as Dr. Naomi suspected, this was a symptom of the real problem: my undiagnosed anxiety and major work burnout. I now am being treated for my anxiety, and I'm much better able to handle my emotions and not take my frustrations out on my loved ones. That's nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm writing with another dog-related intention. I'm planning a tropical vacation for January, and I'm so excited. I've done extensive research about the best dog sitter for my dogs, and I have family in the area as backups. But I can't help but feel immense guilt about leaving them every time I think about my trip. My newer dog is a rescue who was abandoned previously, and I think I'm the most worried about her. I know that people leave their dogs all the time and that they will be fine, but I get a pit in my stomach thinking about being on a beautiful beach while my pups suffer. I'd love an intention to stop these thoughts in their tracks and let myself look forward to and enjoy this much needed vacation without the guilt. Thanks. A worried about my bitches, bitch.
Love the sign off. You're sweet. Yeah. You're such a good dog mom. Like, it's very sweet that you're worried. I think you researched a dog sitter. You found someone that most people don't go into dog sitting unless they really love dogs and are excited to give them lots of love and attention and affection. And yeah, I think you have to kind of tell yourself, I mean, I can cut straight to the intention on this one, is that they will be loved and cared for, not abandoned.
Right.
Abandoned is like if you left them in the house with a big, tub of food and a couple wee-wee pads,
right.
They are going to be loved. They're going to be cared for. They're going to have someone that wants to pay them lots of attention. You are not abandoning them.
Yeah. No, that's true. And I think it's like, there's a difference between like not their favorite thing and abandonment. Right.
Right.
And I think like that probably the part that she feels guilty about is like not their favorite thing. It's funny. My therapist was just telling me about an example about this when like dealing with other people's emotions, which is easier almost when like you're dealing with a human who
can express themselves.
Right. But she was like, I forgot how this came up, but she was like, yeah, I'm going out on Saturday night and I have 2 sons and they really don't want to be with the babysitter. But like, I'm not going to cancel my plans and not go to dinner, which like I'm looking forward to, because it's not their favorite thing.
Right.
And you just kind of have to be able to like sit with the feeling, which is hard, which she's probably going to have, is like the dogs would rather be with her all the time in the house.
Right.
And I feel this way every time I leave too, where I'm like, it's not his favorite thing to be alone. He'd rather be with me.
Right.
But it's kind of like boundaries with anything. It's like, how do I deal with the discomfort of not, and that's like a people pleasing thing too. Like, how do I deal with the discomfort of not giving someone exactly what they want in the moment they want it, even though it doesn't feel good to me?
Yep. Yeah, totally. And I think you're right. This can apply to so many situations. And I like that. It's not their favorite thing. Doesn't mean that your minds want to go to like, I'm abandoning him. I'm going to re-injure his old abandonment wounds from when, and we can do that with anything. Like your mind can play these tricks on you if you don't stop to pause and see what's happening. That
like you're being cruel or something. Maybe it'll tell you.
Totally.
And it almost made me think of like the person from the first email with the mom who keeps talking about her weight, and probably there's probably a part of her that feels like if I hang up on her, she's going to be like upset. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be her favorite thing. She wants to keep talking to me.
Right.
But that's okay. You're not, you're not screaming expletives at her. You're not, you're not like cutting her out of your life. You're doing something that is not her first preference.
Right. I really like that actually. And it's funny because I use that expression a lot. Like, and I really mean it when I say it. Like, it's not my favorite. Like if Jeff will be like, oh, do you want like tacos for dinner? I'm like, it's not my favorite, which kind of means like, it's fine. If you feel like making tacos, like literally make tacos. I don't
Right.
care, but it's just literally not my favorite. And he's always like, takes that to mean like, it's the worst. Please don't make that. I'll be mad if you make
Right.
that. And what I really mean is, it's not my favorite and I'll be fine.
I'll be okay.
Yeah. So I do think that is a really cool way to look at a lot of these things. Like just because something's not someone's favorite, they're going to be okay. And it might even be in some ways good for them. We've talked about this with kids. It's nice for them to learn that other people can take care of them and that they're going to be okay. And yes, you're always going to be their favorite, but it also is nice to know, okay, if I don't have my favorite thing, I will also be fine. Like it's good for them to build that resilience, and tolerating other people's negative emotions is one of the hardest things about being a human being.
Yeah. I mean, it takes me back to the thing with the Ron's cone. It's really not his favorite thing to wear the cone.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not my favorite thing to watch him endure something that is not his favorite.
Yes.
Even if I think it's the right thing to do.
Totally.
So
yeah, it's interesting. I think as a parent, and now being a parent for 13 years, this is one of the hard learned lessons that I think I'm finally like easing into, is like being able to tolerate the discomfort of my kids. It's very freeing. It makes my life a lot easier, and I think it builds character in them. And it's taken a long time to get to this place where I remember, like, before we would go out for a babysitter, I would go to the dollar store and I would get like all these little toys and games and things, and give it to the babysitter and say they're not allowed to open it until the door latch closes and we leave. And then they can open all these presents. And looking back, I'm like, I didn't need to do that. Like, it's not their favorite thing, but they could handle it and they'll be okay. And now when I do something that they don't like, I almost feel like this is good for them. Like, I'm training them to tolerate things in the world that don't go their way. And I honestly feel like it's like them doing math homework or like reading a book or, doing something that's good for them to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, we all know an adult who can't handle things not going exactly the way they want. And that's probably due to not having anyone allow them to do things that are not their favorite.
Totally. I would love to even like have, maybe down the road, have Lila on the show to discuss like if she's like come around to like, this is good for me, or if she's still, I'm curious to see her perspective of like, I know this is good for me, or if she's still in a place of like, this sucks, you're mean.
Right. I want to come on. I mean, I'm sure they think that when you go on vacation without them. You guys go away sometimes.
Oh yeah. They get like mad. It's not fair, and, guilt tripping, and, but yeah, it's great. Then I go and I'm like, I used to feel so differently. And now I'm genuinely like, this is good for them. It's good for them not to get what they want and be able to handle it.
And it's like two-way training. It's like training for them, dealing with the discomfort of not having their favorite thing. And it's you dealing with the discomfort of not having them be so pleased with you all the time.
It's just evolutionary that we read people's faces. Like, we could tell from like 100 yards away if someone's walking, and as they get closer, you start to read the littlest minutia of like their mood, and if they're happy or they're not happy. And we're like biologically wired to take on that negative emotion because there's so many reasons. We would be excluded from the group. We would be threatened by attack. We would be, all the reasons why, if there's a survival instinct to want people around us to be happy and happy with us. So it is sometimes good to push against that grain a little bit. So you're doing it. I think it's great that you're going. You said you were burnt out and you're anxious and you need to lay on a beach. And when you're laying on the beach, like, think about them snuggling on the couch with someone else and learning this beautiful lesson of someone else can take care of them. And also it's giving them, I mean, dogs have a pretty boring life, right? It's giving them that excitement of like,
Switching it
yay, mommy's home.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. How can they miss you if you don't leave?
Yes, exactly. All right. I hope
Good
this
luck.
helped.
I get it. It's tough. I feel that way too. I felt that way when I, left Ron with the dog sitter anywhere where I'm just like, I want him to be happy all the time with me.
Yeah. And then you
without me.
can, you can probably, because he did get sick after he went to the
daycare,
doggy daycare,
Yeah.
you can then twist your mind up to kind of being like,
Right.
well,
I
I can't do
endangered
that
him.
anymore because he got sick and now I can't leave him. Like, and people do that all the time. They'll look for like an excuse of a thing that happened to then allow them to avoid that discomfort because there's evidence that it's not safe for him or whatever it is.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to.
Don't do that. Yeah.
All right, let's do some triggers. Do you want to read our first one?
Yes, I will. I recently moved to a new state for a new job, and I'm living alone in an apartment in a 2-unit house. My neighbors are 2 couples, 4 people. The week before Thanksgiving, one of them texted me asking to borrow a kitchen appliance. When I brought it to her, I asked what she was making. She mentioned it was for a Friendsgiving they were hosting in 2 days. She then invited me, saying there would be around 40 people, and added that she wasn't sure I liked being around a lot of people, but wanted to include me. Interesting.
You seem like a loner, but if you want to come anyway.
Right. Since I'm new to the area and only really know coworkers, I figured this would be a cool, low stakes way to get to know more people in my new city and help my neighbors not think I'm a friendless loser. LOL. Later that day, I texted her to say I planned to come and would bring a small dessert. She replied that she was glad I could come, but asked me not to bring anything because they were putting everyone into teams, so everyone was contributing an equal amount. It felt a little odd, but I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. A 40-person party is expensive, and maybe they were trying to avoid a situation where someone brings a $3 bag of chips while others bring or cook nicer, more expensive things. Still, I thought it was weird to have my offer declined and instead be told to text her roommate to join the, quote, drinks team. So I texted the roommate the next day, now the day before the party, and she explained that they'd be buying all the drinks and would let me know after they purchased stuff how much I owed. Wait, what? First they tell me not to bring the dish I offered to bring. Then they expect me to be okay committing to chipping in an unknown amount of money for a party of people I don't know. It's not like they would have had to buy way more stuff to accommodate me joining or adjust the cost for everyone else who had already said they were coming. I ended up backing out and went to dinner so I wouldn't be around during the party. But what the heck? Is it normal to ask guests, especially someone invited last minute that they don't really know, to pay an unspecified amount or to chip in financially for Friendsgiving? I feel like if I just texted on the actual day of the party, they probably would have said yes to me coming and not asked me to pay anything. Overall, the whole thing felt like it was more effort than it was worth, and honestly, pretty uninviting and tacky. What do you think? Triggering or just weird? Friends giving to pay for your party, bitch.
I kind of get both sides here a little bit. I think the invite was nice. It was phrased. It probably should have included more context in the way it was phrased.
Right.
It sounds like this is a potluck.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what I'm getting here.
That's what Friendsgiving kind of is a lot of times, I think. I don't know, but like I do think, I would assume Friendsgiving is not one person going to make an entire Friendsgiving and then potentially make another one 2 weeks later for their whole family, but I could be wrong.
For 40 people. Yeah. I mean, the Friendsgiving I've done, which have not been 40 people, are either we order in and we split it, or we each bring something. That's like, as we've gotten older, less time, we've sort of stopped doing we each break something and bring it. But that was sort of how it's originally intended. So I don't think it's crazy that they've sort of like divided, they've sort of come together as a group to put on this Friendsgiving, which isn't like one person hosting everyone at their house, but more everyone coming together to be part of the creation of this meal. Should she have mentioned that maybe when she did the invite? Oh, we do like a kind of potluck thing, and I could see why, like, after she might have just done it, and she did this in person. She didn't like text her, so she would kind of like gave her an invitation when she was loaning her something, and maybe didn't think through like the awkwardness of having to ask her to text someone she doesn't know. about how much to pay for something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it was like offensive.
Yeah, I think I have a different take.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
I don't think that this was an issue, and it's hard to do it because you don't want to commit to something and not know what you're getting yourself into. But I don't think this was an issue unless she got a bill for $50 for this party. Like, I think the idea, we don't know. It could have been $10 to chip in for drinks, to go to a party and meet new people and like have a bunch of food and drinks and potentially alcohol or whatever for $10, I think is a reasonable ask. I think they're trying to organize stuff so they don't get 40 desserts and no food.
Right.
And they just want it to be like a nicely organized thing without having to be like, you make a casserole, you do, like, it's just, I think it's efficient way of doing it.
Especially if their mentality here seems like the more the merrier. And this is sort of how they are able to accommodate that.
Right. I think this is like an efficient way to feed and offer food and drinks to 40 people without overlap. And it's kind of like you said, your friends after a while realize it's probably just more efficient to like order food, send everyone a Venmo request at the end of the thing, and enjoy your Friendsgiving. Would it have been better, I think, in an ideal world if they would have said it at the beginning, like, this is kind of how we do it and we make these teams and if you want to participate. But I don't know. The way she writes the email almost sounds like she would have preferred just being able to say yes at the end, show up without being expected to bring anything, like somehow have a special treatment that nobody else is getting where everyone else is chipping in. Like, why should you not have to chip in?
Yeah. And I would also feel weird if I got to a party and I found out that everyone had like gotten on these, had like contributed in some way, and I showed up either empty-handed or with something that wasn't particularly valuable there. Right. And also like the I would actually prefer this because it's like, great, I don't have to like go out and figure out what to bring and how many people to bring it for and which dessert am I going to get. I could just send someone some money and not have to physically go get or do anything. It wasn't they were like, can you go to the liquor store and pay for all this and then Venmo everyone?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, look, I get it's a little bit of a rejection. I could see the rejection feeling of like she's trying to put herself out there. She gets this, dessert, or she's planning on making this dessert. And they're basically like, no, that's not what we want. This is how we're doing it. I could see, I think, this feeling of like, now I feel like an outsider. I didn't get the memo of like what this was. I feel a little rejected. And maybe there is, I don't know. So don't take this. I could be wrong. I wish you were here so we could have a conversation about it. But maybe there is a little bit of social anxiety that's happening. And this is like an excuse to not go to this party because you were a little bit, maybe I could see it's overwhelming. You don't know everyone. You're walking into 40 people that presumably all know each other.
Right.
4 of them live together. I could see you being a little anxious about that. I'd probably be a little anxious about that. And maybe this was an excuse to kind of be like, screw this, I'm out. And I'm just going to do my own thing.
Which is your right if you don't want to participate in that. But I don't think it's offensive that they invited you and then tried to make you actually part of the way things are done. Because I could see a different email where she writes in, I was invited to this party. I show up. Everyone is like part of these teams where they've contributed these things. I'm here with my stupid cupcake, like 3 cupcakes.
Right.
I wish they would have just like told me or thrown me onto a team. Like I could see someone thinking that. And then you don't have to worry or think about overanalyze what you've brought or why you weren't asked to be on one of these things.
Right.
So,
and the bill could have really just been like $10. We don't know what. I think she was maybe fearful of committing that she'd end up owing like $50 or something on this, thing that she didn't expect to pay for, but we wouldn't know. And I guess maybe you don't want to commit and then find out and then have to say, oh my gosh, like that was more than I expected. That's awkward too. So I do get the reservation here, but I think if you're invited to a thing like this, when in Rome, you got to kind of do what they're doing. And this is what they're doing.
I agree. I'd give it a 2 because It would be nice if she mentioned this is how they do it when she gave the initial invite. So you didn't have to
Right.
commit, but if you didn't want to do that sort of thing. And as
Right.
someone who's like, I don't really want to text your roommate to figure out like, I want to just like
Mhm.
go and leave. I could see being like a little irritated that she committed and then she found this out.
Yes.
So I'll give it a 2.5.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. And look, it's also okay that you didn't want to go. I think that that's fine, or that you decided not to go. But I
Yeah,
would
she
just
was
be a
being
little
nice.
I would be a little introspective about what was really bothering you about this. Was it the initial rejection? You're new, you're trying to meet people, you come and you're like excited. Was it the rejection? Was it the fear of going into this? Was it really about like, I didn't expect to get myself into this? And just introspect on what made this feel such like so big for you. But yeah, I think this is
Right.
reasonable.
Maybe the neighbor was onto something when she said she wasn't sure I liked being around a lot of people, but wanted to include me.
Yeah, I think there might be something to it, and I don't judge you, right? We've all done the thing.
I'm the same way, probably.
Yes, where you like don't want to go to a social function, especially one like this, right? You were saying you don't even want to go to
Yeah.
like dinner with your own best
Actual
friends.
friend. Yeah. No, this
So,
is
like,
scary. I could totally understand the intimidation there, but that doesn't mean they did something wrong.
yes. So it's okay that you were maybe overwhelmed or anxious about this. It's okay that you backed out, but I wouldn't try to justify it by saying that they were really tacky by asking you to just participate in the way that the party was designed.
Agreed. All right, let's do one more.
Yeah. All right.
I'll read it. Hi, Dr. Naomi and Jordan. I love the pod. Here's my triggered scenario. I'm a working mom and very fortunate to have a 15-month-old healthy daughter with families who want to help with childcare. Since my daughter was about 8 months old, her weekly childcare consists of 2 times a week at daycare, 2 times a week with my mother, and 1 time a week with my mother-in-law, Fridays. I think it's important to note that we do not pay our family to help, and they both drive about an hour to our house to help. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Also, we agreed on Fridays with my mother-in-law, as my husband always works from home on Fridays, so it's nice for her to see her son. Now comes the 2-part triggered scenario. Part 1. In early August, my mother-in-law sent a group text to me and my husband with 5 days in Q4 that she has a Friday club writing group and so will be unable to babysit. This is 5 out of 11, or 45% babysitting Fridays for the remainder of the year. She did offer to potentially switch with my mother for those weeks. However, realistically, that really wasn't an option at the time, as my own mom works part-time, takes care of my grandma who had recently broke her hip, and plans her working, caregiving, babysitting around this weekly schedule. I was extremely triggered by this text. While I understand there will be conflicts now and then, she committed to Fridays when discussing childcare with us, and we have arranged our lives accordingly for the time being. That said, I let my husband take the lead on communication, where he was kind and said we can navigate those days. To cover, I wound up doing a combination of taking days off work myself and finding backup childcare, a nanny, etc. Okay, part 2. At Thanksgiving, my mother-in-law mentions there are a couple Fridays in January she has conflicts for the same writing club that we wrongfully assumed was a fall-winter 2025 thing, and another Friday in December that she is interested in taking off to be able to attend a town garden event. She mentioned she will send a text or email with the dates so we can discuss and negotiate as needed. My husband further spoke privately with her about this, and he learned that her Friday club goes through May. He is now also feeling very triggered. I feel she doesn't seem to be prioritizing this commitment she made to babysit, which in contrast, my own mother commits full-heartedly. We could have made other arrangements if she did not want to commit to helping, signing up for 3 times a week daycare, etc. But now wait lists are full until the following school year. That said, I also appreciate the effort she does make, as it does help us financially and is nice for my daughter to be with her grandma. How triggered can I be? Also, any advice, of course, welcome. Signed, working mom to a not so Friday babysitter.
It's triggering to not have childcare, and it's triggering to have to make new arrangements, and it's very stressful finding good childcare, especially like she said, if the daycares are full and she can't get her child in, and it's very stressful. Totally understandable. But I also think this mother-in-law is allowed to like have her life, and it's not like she's not showing up at the last minute. She's telling her about this all the way through May now. So I think she's allowed to say, hey, I thought this was going to work. It's actually not working. it is annoying the way it's presented. Like, I think
Right.
what the mother-in-law should have done is sat down and been like, hey, I know I said that I could do this. I'm retired. I want to make friends, whatever. She's allowed, like,
Yeah. I changed my mind.
I changed my mind,
Basically.
or this thing came up, club came up, and I really want to pursue it. And I'm really sorry, but Fridays aren't going to work. And then it would have been disappointing and crappy, but presenting it as like, I only have these few select days that I can't do it when they're like more than half the days is annoying.
Right. And then and next year they're continuing to be on those days. Right. I think the way that she's doing it, which is sort of like, I'm not backing out, I'm still here.
Right.
Like, because that's, I think, more of an ego thing maybe for her to probably say is like,
well, she probably wants the Fridays when she wants the Fridays, which is the other annoying part is like, she doesn't want to give up her Fridays without realizing now I have to just like plug the holes, which is really annoying.
Right. She's like, I'll babysit when I have nothing else to do.
Right.
Which is, I mean, it's a grandparent. Fine. Like,
yeah,
I think that's her right. I think I agree with you. I think there's nothing wrong with the fact that she was like, I can do this and I can't do that. But I think that doing it in this way, which sort of has, and she probably doesn't realize that you can't get on a wait list or that it's so annoying for you to find someone to replace her. So I don't know, like, if she did know that, if she would still do it. And I think to say to her, have your husband say to her, listen, like, I appreciate whatever you can do, but like when we don't, and I know it seems like there's a lot of notice, but it's actually really difficult for us to get backup childcare because we would have done daycare 3 days a week. And so if you can't do something, it's actually kind of tough if you say you're going to do it. So why don't you let me know the days you're 100% absolutely in, and we'll figure out the rest and we can take it from there.
Right. Yeah. I do think communication has just broken down here. And I'm sure the mother-in-law is probably just like feeling a little like she's trying to like slink out the back door instead of just saying, Fridays don't work anymore. What else can we do? She tried to offer other days, but that doesn't work for your mother.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this just needs a different level of communication, like a sit down thing where you say, we want you to be with the baby. We really appreciate it. But it is very hard with two working parents when you don't have consistency. Like, it's very hard to go like one off by one off.
Right.
And fill in these holes versus like, we've got to find something consistent, and you'll find it. Like, you will. It's annoying. I get it. I don't envy the process.
Yeah.
But you'll find it. And then what she's going to have to tolerate, again, it's not going to be her favorite. But what she's going to have to tolerate is now we're just going to have to fit you in where it works for us, which might not be on the days when her son is working from home. Or it might not be that she's like alone with the baby. Maybe she just comes for visits if it doesn't work.
Right.
You know, that you guys are going to have to move forward, almost like taking her out of the picture if you can't come up with a consistent schedule that works.
Right.
And then she's just going to be like a visiting grandma, which is really disappointing.
When you thought you were getting something else. Right. I mean, and here's the thing, like, now you kind of put it in her file. She's a little flaky.
Yeah.
When she said she's committing to something, it doesn't 100% mean so. Like, that's sort of like the definition of reliable. When someone says they'll do something and then they're like 100% sticking to it because they committed to it. She's not that kind of person. And, beware of any grandparents that have social lives.
Right.
It's funny. I feel like it's really good for older people to have like plans and social lives and things that they do that keep them, entertained and friends and stuff. But I've found from my friends, anecdotally, those are the grandparents who are not super interested in hunkering down and just helping you all the time. They like have, and which is totally fine. I don't know that I would be that kind of person if I had stuff going on.
Totally. So you can't kind of have your cake and eat it too. I think they're going to have a, confrontation about this and figure out what can you commit to and how long can you commit to it? Like it's hard because it's your family, but you have to almost treat it like an employee in the sense of like,
Which feels
I don't know.
weird because you're not paying them, right?
Yes. But just in terms of the commitment, like I think it's also not really fair to assume that just ongoing forever, that she's never going to make another plan on a Friday ever again in her life. But she has to be the one to come to you and say, this doesn't work. And it's annoying because now your mom's created her schedule around this and that's going to be affected. So I get why this is annoying, but I also do think it is good for an older person who wants to live their next chapter of their life in the way that they want to be able to do that. But she needs to communicate instead of trying to just say, hey, there's only these few Fridays that I can't work. And then I want to come and pop in on the rest of them. So yeah, this isn't going to be the most comfy conversation, but I think it just has to be very logical. Like, what are the other options for days? Maybe you want her to come on a Sunday if that works for her. And it can be sort of like, great, if you can come, we'll go out for a walk or we'll have some alone time. And if you can't, like, we don't have to work anyway. So it's not like the biggest deal.
Yeah. Sometimes people like offering more than they actually like doing.
Right.
Like they like the feeling of being like, I watch my grandkid, whatever, but they actually don't really want to give anything up for it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And look, I honestly, I do feel like it is okay. I'm sure she's done her share of taking care and it's okay that she doesn't want to do it. She just has to be honest with herself and you.
Right.
That she wants to be more of a once in a while babysitter rather than like a reliable babysitter.
Right. I don't think people like to think of themselves that way. So I'm sure that's probably a big part of it where she's like, no, I watch him every Fridays, except for like 60% of the Fridays of the year.
Yes, right. Totally.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck. I would give this I'd give it like a 4. I think that's like kind of annoying. And like, it's just, I think it's like less triggering and more just like irritating because now you have a lot more work and stress to like figure this out when if you had known. It's annoying when someone like commits to something and then rescinds. So 4.
Yeah, I'll agree.
I don't think it's personal.
Finding childcare, especially if it's like not a daycare and you have to do like that used to be my least favorite thing when my kids were little. It was like interviewing babysitters and then then you pick someone and then they're flaky and then, you come back and it looks like a bomb went off in your house and you're like, what the, I feel you. I also feel this grandma, she wants to live her life. So I get it. I'll give it a 5 even because now they have to figure everything else out and redo the whole schedule. So
and it's not her mom, so she can't yell at her.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, totally.
All right.
All right.
We did it.
I hope we helped. Love updates. Give us updates. If we got it wrong, let us know. If we got it right, always kind of like to be right, not going to lie.
Yes. We prefer those.
But keep us posted. Let us know how the advice turns out. And that's our time.
Great work today.